transplant.
Of the pride of Dela Idowu. I'll read a little bit about her and then I'll welcome her in. Dela Idowu is the founder of Gift of Living Donation organization she set up after coming forward. People who are Black or Asian, anybody that is a minority. Why we struggle with organ donation. Actually, this would tell me what it is. We hear it a lot on television. We see people who've done it. We see people who've recovered from it. But what is the journey like? Today, I have a lady. In particular, we're going to focus on kidney donation, though we'll talk about what donation itself means. Good evening, my name is Lydia Khalil and welcome to Conversations with Lydia. Today we are going to talk about organ donation, and in particular we're going to focus on kidney donation, though we'll talk about what donation itself means. Why do people from our community, various people don't like to use the word BAME, but I'm talking about church community, I'm talking about people who are Black or Asian, anybody that is a minority, why we struggle with organ donation. Actually, this would tell me what it is. We hear it a lot on television. We see people who've done it. We see people who've recovered from it. But what is the journey like? Today, I have a lady who's going to come and share not only from what she knows, but she's going to share from her own personal experience, her own personal journey, and how she came to set up a charity based on kidney transplant donations. Her name is Dela Idowu. I'll read a little bit about her and then I'll welcome her in. Dela Idowu is the founder of Gift of Living Donation organization she set up after coming forward as a living donor for her brother. Since then, Gold has developed and worked on several projects to increase awareness of living kidney donation in African and Caribbean community here in the UK and in Nigeria. She's the author of More Than a Match and a producer of a renal educational film, We Are Family. She's worked in collaboration with organizations such as Kidney Research UK, Transplant TV, NHSBT, Kidney Care UK, Brent Public Health, South Bank University, St. Nicholas Hospital, Lagos, and the University of Pittsburgh in America. She's also the winner of the Pride of Brent 2014. Please join me and we welcome Dela.
Hi, Lydia. Good afternoon. Lovely to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, lady with many accolades, I can see. I think I was pleasantly surprised yesterday going through your website and saw that, you had a little clip about a film, and in the film you were the executive producer. So that was exciting for me.
Hidden talent, I should say.
Yes. So tell us a bit about yourself before we talk about what really is on your mind a lot of time and what should be on our minds as we live day to day.
Yeah. It was in 2011. My dad had died, and me and my brother were planning, how are we going to go to Nigeria, what we need to do and everything. And then he sadly said to me, he wouldn't be able to come. And I'm like, why not? That was when my brother told me that he had kidney failure and stage 4 kidney failure, and at least maybe about 3 or 4 years on dialysis. He's my only brother, so for me it was a no-brainer to come forward and offer to be his living kidney donor. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to donate one of my kidneys, to my brother, because we can live with just one. So it kind of made sense for me to have one and for him to have one. So that started my journey as coming forward as a living kidney donor for my brother.
Okay, so he had stage 4 and you were just finding out, had he known before, or he was trying to protect you from that news?
Well, my brother actually knew for 6 months, but he's kind of struggled to tell me that, or tell anybody actually in the family, that it was as bad as it is. And to be honest, Lydia, I didn't even notice the changes in him, and sometimes I could kind of almost beat myself up, did I not notice? So it was a slow progression, but I think with a lot of kidney patients, when you're diagnosed with chronic kidney failure and you've been told that you need a transplant or to go on dialysis, it's life-changing. So he didn't tell me for 6 months.
Okay, I think what you're saying is that even he was trying to get used to this idea that he had his kidneys were failing, because everybody has 2 kidneys, and it's possible that a lot of us are actually going around with 1 functioning kidney or 1.5. We don't know. So for him, it's his 2 kidneys now that are not working. And actually, because it can be life-threatening, let me say that, and it's debilitating in itself. It's quite big news to hear, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, just from my brother's experience, there's almost a sense of, no, this is not happening to me. There's a sense of denial. And I wonder if we weren't planning to go home to Nigeria, when my brother would have told me. But now, having worked in the field for many years, I find that many people are in denial that this is actually happening to them, and the thought of having to go on dialysis is very, very daunting. So yes, and I think a lot of people take months just to get their head around that whole diagnosis.
Okay, and if we are sort of going to let's jump a little bit forward and go into when faith is concerned, or do you find that we who have faith struggle more, struggle less to accept really big news that we're being told now that we are unwell? And I think the immediacy we would go is, God is going to sort this out. Yeah. How does that feel, or how do you think that helps us mentally to sort of accept what's happening?
I think it's almost like a double-edged sword, in that I, as a Christian myself, and I know the power of healing, but I also know that God has given a lot of these healthcare professionals, surgeons, consultants, the wisdom and the brain and the skills to be able to perform these life-saving transplants. And I do know a lot of people who should be on dialysis, but because of that faith, because of that trust, and because of the healing scriptures they've read, they have decided not to go on dialysis, which I think is sometimes could be a detriment to their health. It's a struggle. Yes.
Yeah. It's a struggle to hear this news anyway, whether you have faith or don't have faith. And when you have faith, what I'm hearing say is that people are saying, actually, if I agree with what has been given to me and what the doctor has said, then somehow I'm denying God's ability to heal me, because I'm now agreeing. And people are now choosing actually not to accept help from the professionals and staying home and hoping that and praying that they will be healed miraculously. But I mean, we're not saying God isn't in the business of healing or doesn't hear prayer. I think what we both agree on, we've had this conversation, that God actually is the one who gives the scientists, the doctors, the nurses, all the other people who support people when they are unwell, the mental capacity and the ideas. I was sharing with somebody that when you watch people doing operations on TV. You know, you can only know that it's a gift from God.
Yes,
It's nothing man. Nobody could teach you some of these things, some of the skills. So actually, when people are not accepting help from professionals, it doesn't take anything away from God. It's looking at them that they are a tool that God is using to help them on their journey. That's the way I see it. That's what I think you are saying would be a good idea.
Yes, and I think it's about using that faith in different ways. Because I'll be very honest with you, Lydia. As you know, I did start that journey. I'd gone up to Guy's the next day after I'd said to my brother that, you know, I'm going to come forward as a living donor. And my mother was with us at that time, and we would always call my mum a prayer warrior. And her first instinct was, no, we don't do this in Nigeria. It's not part of our culture. But when we sat down and we explained to mum the whole process, and she was better informed, my mum then said yes. What she then said that, okay, I will use my faith as a Christian to make sure that you have the right consultant, that everything will go okay, that you will come out from surgery and you recover. So that was my mum using her faith through the whole process. And as you know, as I said, I came forward, I did all the tests. I mean, I think I did about 6 or 7 months of tests. And during that time, it was my faith that kept me going. It was something that I wanted to do for my brother. I wanted him to have a better quality of life. And for me, that scripture, you know, there is no greater love when a man lays down his life for his brother. That was my essence and reason for doing it. So you can imagine my shock when I was told, unfortunately, I was not a suitable donor. I couldn't believe it. And I was slightly angry with God, because I remember saying to God, well, hold on a second, God, you know Black people don't come forward as donors. I have come forward as a donor. I want to donate. And you're telling me I can't. It was only later that I then saw the bigger picture, because I think if I had come forward as a donor and I was successful, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. I probably would have just continued with what I was doing and moved on with my life.
So you because you were unable to give your kidney to your brother, it actually caused you to go a little bit more on the journey. So at the point you thought, oh God, this isn't fair. Who's going to give my brother a kidney now? We know Black people don't do this. But because he didn't allow you to do that, or because they said medically you were not a fit match for him, he had another plan. He had an extension to the journey, if we put it like that. But I want to go back a little bit where you said your mom immediately said, you know what, this is not in our culture. This is not what we do. Can you tell us a little bit about what she said to you was in the culture, or what wasn't, that didn't allow her or you or your brother to accept this?
Well, I totally understand where my mum's coming from, because that is, she's talking on behalf of almost 99% of Black Afro-Caribbean people. We don't have an organ donation system or setup in Africa, in the Caribbean, in Asia. So when you're talking of organ donation and you're talking of living donation, that is quite foreign. So for my mum, for her, it was, well, how can her 2 children be on the operating table at the same time? She couldn't fathom that. But as I said, and I think there's one script in the Bible that says, well, you know, without information, a lack of information, my people, you know, perish. So I feel when we're able to give my mum that information about the operation itself, the success rate of the operation, that was when she had that peace of mind. So I think education and information is very key to changing some of those myths and taboos that we do have in the Black community.
Mm-hmm. So she's saying, this is your mom, you said, is a prayer warrior. So she's saying, she now reverts to culture and saying, actually, we don't do this where I'm from. And then she, as a mother, is thinking, I'm going to have 2 children, it's a major operation for both of you, having this major operation. So it means I'm at risk at losing the 2 of you. Yeah, because I know that every time somebody has that, there's the risk. But for you, it was clear, because it was like, if I do this, my brother gets to live.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think when you even explained it to mom, it was like, okay, it's either she has 2 children or one that doesn't have a good quality of life and may end up dead anyway. So it wasn't, I think at the end, as you said, with a bit of information and sort of helping her through. And that, I think, in a way, we would say was counseling her. Yeah, so giving her the information, helping allay some of her fears, giving her some, as we would say, rational thinking, really making it practical for her to come to terms with this big thing that had not only happened to her son, and now the daughter is jumping into the queue and saying, I'm willing to go under the knife with him.
But I think the very interesting thing about that, Lydia, and we do talk about faith and we talk about religion. And my mum was in her 80s. So not only have you got culture to throw into the mix, you've also got faith. But the reality, Lydia, when it comes down to it, whether culture and faith never came into it, all my mum was thinking was, Dela, if giving a kidney to my son can ensure that he has a better quality of life, that for me was the most important thing. So that really shows me that even though, yes, we're African, we're Asian, we're Caribbean, and we come from these cultures, and culture does play a big role, and so does faith. But ultimately, for my mom, was the quality of health of her son. So she was able to use her faith. Okay, I will use my faith in a different way. So that for me, and this is somebody who's in her 80s, so that for me really just showed you what actually culture and faith do not take first place when it comes to health.
Yes, so at the end of the day, it's a mom who wants the best for her son.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to watch a little extract from the film, because I think that really drives home the point. And then when we come back, I will ask you whether it matters, whether it's a kidney from a white person or a kidney from a black person. What's the difference?
Your results have come back, and I'm afraid it's not good news. Both your kidneys are failing now. You are going to need a kidney transplant.
Would you be a living kidney donor for a family member?
No.
I need a kidney transplant. Black people don't donate their organs. I mean, you hear about all the time about how there's a shortage of donors within the African Caribbean community. I've waited a lifetime for a donor.
I've been on dialysis for 8 years. I wish I could say it gets easier. Being hooked up to these machines for 4 hours, 3 times a week, is hard work.
There are other treatments, such as living kidney donation, we can look into.
What's a living donor?
It's when someone in your family donates a kidney to you.
All operations have some risk, but kidney transplants are pretty successful these days.
See, this is it over here. I only need 1 kidney to live normally, and you only need 1. I really want to help you.
If we go back to my question, because in the video, I think what struck me was this young lady asking somebody on the street, will you give your kidney to a family member? And he was very direct in saying no. Now, I think the video is around us giving a kidney to a member of our family, which means that if we're Black, it must come from within that circle. What's the difference? Then we'll go into why we feel people of ethnic minorities don't give. I know we talked about it in culture and faith.
I always get asked that question, okay, Dela, are you trying to say that we can't get a kidney from somebody who is not Black? And the answer to that is no, we definitely can. When we think of the huge number of Black people who are on dialysis and the number of Black people who have had a successful transplant, that is because we can get a kidney from somebody who is not Black. Mm-hmm. But one of the reasons why we keep on promoting more Black people to join the organ donor register is because sadly we only have 1% of Black people on the current organ donor register, while we have 63% of Black people that actually need a kidney. So if you just do the maths there alone, you can see one of the reasons why it's so important. But why is it important that we want more Black people to join the organ donor register? It really has got to do with tissue match. You see, when you're from the same background or you're from the same community, your tissue match is similar, and it's the same with the blood group. So that's why we encourage a lot more Black people to sign up to the organ donor register so that we can actually get more kidneys from Black people. That's one of the reasons why living donation actually is a better transplant, because you're getting it from a loved one who is from your same community. So it just makes for a better grafting and a better transplant.
So if I go back on what you've said, is that a Black person can get a kidney from a white person. A white person can get a kidney from a Black person. But it makes it all easier because of the tissue matches and blood groups to actually get it from somebody who is in your community. And does it work better, easier when you're from the same family? Because we saw from the movie the young man, and I think it was his sister, going through the leaflet.
I think it really depends. For example, I when I went through my testing, I had a 6 out of 6 tissue match with my brother, which is the highest that you can have. So the higher the tissue match, the better grafting, the better the transplant, the more successful it is. But like in life, there are no guarantees. Unfortunately, when I couldn't come forward as a donor, my 2 daughters came forward as a donor, and their tissue match, because they are related, but their tissue match was slightly lower, so it kind of fell down to about 2 and 3. So I would have been the best match, for him. So that's one of the reasons why we try. I would say within the Black community, most transplants are family related, but we still do have people who have friends who are Black, or they have best friends, and they come forward as donors.
Mm-hmm. So please, let's go back into the statistics. I want you to repeat it again so that everybody who's watching has an understanding, and then we'll talk about what it is that we need. We've talked about needing only one, but just go back again over the 6.
I'm going to say this, and there's no other way I can put it. It is really, really, really sad. Currently we have, let's say, about 27 million people on the organ donor register. Less than 1% of those are from the Black community. But if you were to go to one hospital and you went to about 6 dialysis units in London, you would find that the majority of those who need an organ, especially a kidney, are from the Black community. Oh. So that is a huge problem. So when you sign up to the organ donor register, and I know now the law has changed, more than likely, 99%, when you sign up to the organ donor register as somebody from the Black community, and you're having to pass in circumstances that, unfortunately, beyond our control, your kidneys, your liver, your heart will more than likely go to somebody from your community simply because of the tissue and blood grouping.
Mm-hmm. So what it sounds like is that a lot of us, when I mean us, I mean Black people in our community, I don't want to use the word sicker, but they're unwell and having dialysis regularly.
Yeah.
Because actually we from our community haven't taken responsibility.
Yes.
To make life easier for the next person who looks just like us and might be a family member even. So what you're saying is that a lot of us know family members or know people who are having kidney dialysis, but we're in our own way abdicating and saying, well, it's their problem. They're going for dialysis. They seem to be managing, and there's nothing I can do. So what you're saying is that there is something that we all can do.
I'll be very honest with you. I had signed up to the organ donor register anyway. That I had already done that. But I didn't know anything about living donation. I think unless it is on your doorstep, you hear about these things, but it doesn't register. So now that they've actually changed the law, and that if you don't want to be an organ donor, then you have to opt out. Because on my journey, a lot of people were actually, Dela, you know what, I could do that. I wouldn't mind doing that. But I think a lot of the times they never got round to doing it. But as you rightly said, I think it's about that responsibility, because we all know now somebody who has got kidney failure and is on dialysis. And dialysis, it's not a walk in the park. It's 3 times a week, 4 hours a day, 4 hours each time. That is a lot out of somebody's life. And you don't really have a life because you're almost tied to the dialysis machine. So the most that we can do is, do you know what? At least let me join the organ donor register. That I think that is the most that we can do for our community.
And I know a lot of times if you maybe read newspapers like The Voice, for example, you will see when they're asking for, actually, we're going to digress a little bit, for donation for things like bone marrow, where they're saying, this person is of mixed heritage, they need a type of bone marrow, and they're making a special appeal. Sometimes I wonder how many of us actually just read it and think, oh, well, that's somebody else's child, somebody else's brother, and read what's on the next page. So that's what I mean by actually us taking responsibility, because it's about being on a database, say for bone marrow now, and saying, actually, I can leave my details. If I'm a match, then I can think about doing that. Can you explain the difference between being a living donor and what we have now in law, where somebody dies unexpectedly and the government now has decided, you know what, we're just going to take your organs. So what's the difference? Because we know before they couldn't do that. They had to ask for the family's permission. But now they're saying, actually, we don't need your permission. You have to have ticked out the opt-out box. Yeah. So just explain what a living donor is to us.
I'm just going to clarify that, because I think it's very, very important to get that messaging out. Even before, when you are on the organ donor register and you've given your permission, unless you have the consent of the family. So I'll use myself an example. My family know, my nearest and dearest know that in the event of my death, I want to donate my organs. So at that time comes, even if I've signed up to the organ donor register, if your family, and this is very important, if your family have not given their consent, that cannot happen. And even with this new change of law, where you are automatically on the organ donor register, it is the final say is with your family. So if your family said, look, you know what, we never had that discussion, it's not something we want to do, that cannot happen. So if you are interested in being an organ donor, it's very important to have that discussion with your family so they know. And I think it's even better because you've lost somebody, it's a very difficult time, and then the nurse is coming around to you and say, would you like to donate your loved one's organs? If you've not had that discussion before, you're automatically going to say no. But if you've had that discussion and that's that person's last wishes, then it just makes it easier. But I really have to say, especially to the Black community, your organs cannot be donated unless they have final consent from your loved ones. That's very, very important, because I think that message at the moment is not clear, and people think, oh, well, they're just going to take my organs without my permission. No, they can't.
Okay. So tell us who a living donor is. We know you didn't make the full journey, but who is a living donor? So
a living donor is somebody who actually comes forward. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, or it could actually be an altruistic donor where there's no connection at all, but they just want to donate a kidney. So it's somebody who is living, who can donate a kidney, and also you can also do a liver transplant as well, where you can donate a section of your liver as well. So it's somebody who is living. Normally in the Black community, it is normally a family member who comes forward and says, you know what, I want to donate my kidney.
Okay. We're going to watch a video now, or two maybe, of people who are living donors.
My name's Hayley. I'm a living kidney donor. I donated to my dad. I decided to become a living kidney donor. Watching my dad's health deteriorate was my main motivation to become a living kidney donor. I would say the major impact that it's had is just seeing my dad's life change and improve. It's given me a drive to want to just get the message out to as many people as possible that living kidney donors are needed. I think as well as my dad's health improving, it's given me strength that, I mean, just going through an operation like that, you realise that your body can just perform miracles, and yeah, I just feel so much stronger than I did prior to the operation. Throughout the process of getting tested to be a kidney donor, my only main focus was just getting it done until the day before the operation, and I think that's when all the fears kind of hit me at once, like the reality of what actually was going to happen. But it didn't for a second make me second guess what I was doing. It was just like, okay, I'm actually going under. I've never had an operation before, so yeah, I just don't even know what it's like to go under local anaesthetic, but yeah, it was fine. So yeah, you save someone's life. There's nothing can get better than that as a human being, to save someone's life and just to see somebody's life change and improve, and that's because of an act that you've done. Literally the day after the operation, when I saw my dad, I realised that his complexion had changed, scarring had like faded, he had trouble standing up, sitting down, even tying his shoelaces, and now he can run for buses. He signed up to the gym. It's great.
What I liked about Hayley's story was actually a young girl giving her dad her kidney. I felt that was really a touching story for me, because usually it's the parent who is giving, to the child, or sibling like yourself to your brother, but it was a young person saying, you know what, I'm going to lay my life down so that my dad can have a better quality of life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk?
Yeah, it's very interesting because of that dynamics. And when you interview both of them together, and we've done that on so many occasions, her dad got quite a lot of negative response to that, because a lot of people thought, well, hold on a second, you're an old man, you're retired, why do you want to put your daughter through this? Why are you being selfish? And he struggled with that, sometimes, that, is he doing the right thing? But it was something that his daughter wanted to do, and you couldn't stop her. And as she said in her video, her dad has just got a totally new lease of life. He can climb the stairs. He couldn't come to her place because he didn't have the energy to climb the stairs in her place. Now he's running up the stairs 2 at a time. So for her, if it's not something that she doesn't regret doing, and her father doesn't regret the gift of life that he has given her.
Okay, so I saw, wow, what a young lady who was really bold, and she knew what she wanted. But I think what struck me was obviously the dynamic, because it was a child to a parent. And it's interesting what you've said now is people saw it as being selfish. They saw it as he had come towards the end of his life. He should just accept what had happened to him and just lay down and wait for death to come. It seems almost. So how do people actually manage this? I know that the operation itself takes a toll, not only on the person who's giving it, because we hear Hayley talk about she was really desiring to give this gift to her dad, and on the day she thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to have a major operation. So how do you think these families cope? Do they have counseling? How can counseling actually impact this journey before, during, and after?
Well, before you become a living donor, as I said to you, I got almost like 3/4 of the way. But before you actually become a donor, I may tell you, you can decide you don't want to be a donor at any point in that journey. So even if you've done all the tests, even up to a minute before, you might think, well, actually, do you know what? I don't think I can do this. So that's important to know. But you also have a counselling and psychological test as well, to know that actually you are in that right frame of mind. Do you know what you're doing, what it's going to involve? So you do have psychological tests as well to make sure that you know what you're doing fully, and that you haven't been coerced, or you've just said yes because you've been pressured to say yes by family members. So yeah, that's also very, very important. But a lot of us who have come forward as living donors, I can tell you 99% of us, actually, when people like us can't be a donor, we're very disappointed. So it's something that we want to do, and we never change our mind, because it's from that heart. We want to have a better quality of life for our loved ones. And I have to say that when I wasn't able to donate because of an underlying health reason, Lydia, I was gutted. It took me months to get over it. Actually, it was almost like a bereavement. I wish I had counselling, because it was like a bereavement, because I wanted to help my brother and I couldn't, and all I saw was years, on dialysis, for him.
Mm-hmm. So looking back now, how could you have been supported more?
Well, one of the things, I think for me, my outlet was my book. I wrote a book, More Than a Match. And I think people have different ways, like any sort of bereavement or any sort of pain, people have different ways. And I think writing my story in my book, More Than a Match, was one way that I was able to to deal with that. But we've also set up like peer support groups at Guy's Hospital. So people who want to know more about living donation, who feel they need that support, because I know June said she was a little bit isolated at the beginning. So we've set up like a peer support group for people who want to know more about living donation, ask questions, because we've got to have gone through that whole process to really know what that experience is.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, how have you been received with this work? Because you've worked with several organizations. How does the church respond to this concept of organ donation? Is there a way that the church can actually support this idea of us giving our organs, whether we're living, whether it's when we've passed? Where do you think the church stands?
I think the churches have a responsibility. I think that they have a bigger role to play in sending out that key message. I think the church has got a fantastic platform, but they're not using it. And I think it's, as somebody who goes to church, I think it's disappointing for me to see people within the congregation who do have sickle cell, who do need blood. We have people that have got kidney failure who do need a transplant. But the church is not getting that message out. I see being a blood donor or coming forward as a living donor, I see it as our Christian duty, as giving. The Bible says, look, if we've got something somebody else needs, then give it to them. We hold tightly onto this body that doesn't belong to us and is a gift from God. So I struggle with the church. I've spoken to the church. I've told my testimony, a lot of the work we've done. They've given me a platform, I'll be very honest with you. But I've noticed, and unless especially within the Black Afro-Caribbean churches, if the pastor gets it, if he gets that message and thought, you know what, this is something that's important, then I can tell you the whole church will be involved, because they will be able to motivate the members. But if the pastor of the church doesn't get it, then that message is not going anywhere.
So the idea is the leadership also, just like I said, need to take responsibility. And actually, it's about getting information, just like you did with your mom, saying, actually, this is the possibility, this is a gift. And I remember when we had the telephone conversation, we said, we are promised a new body when we come back. This body is going to be decayed. People die and they are disposed, I don't want to use that word, but buried in various ways. Yeah. Some people are cremated, people are embalmed. So if you're embalmed anyway, you're not going to be able to use that kidney again when you come back. So it's going in the ground, dust to dust. So this is our way of giving somebody, actually, we talked about it, the gift of life, whether you are still living as a living donor or when you do pass on. And things like blood, bone marrow, kidneys, parts of our liver, and things that we can be a blessing with to other people. That's what you're saying. But I think the emphasis is on the leadership getting some information and actually accepting that this is a possibility. Do you feel that they might not see it in the Bible? They might not have a reference point.
Yeah, I mean, people said to me, well, hold on a second, Dela. You show me in the Bible where it talks about organ donation. I say organ donation fits into one word and one word only, and that is about love. It's for me, giving somebody the gift of life, as Haley said, it is about love. What motivated me to come forward and give my brother a kidney was about love. It's about love. It's about giving. It's about sacrifice. All those things that the Bible talks about. And, for me, what greater gift, when when God calls us home for any particular reason. As we said, our body is new. We're not going to go with cancer or any of these illnesses. We know that we're going to get a new body when we go to heaven. Surely the greatest gift, the gift that God has given us, he's given us this body. Let us now give that gift to somebody else, so we can give somebody a quality of life, a new lease of life, with our kidneys, with our eyes, with our hearts, with our lungs, with our skin. I mean, that for me, if you've not done anything before then, God would definitely say to you, you know what, well done. I've been a faithful servant. In you and well pleased. Look at that person's life who you have changed. Somebody's got your heart, somebody's got your kidneys. That's amazing. And it doesn't belong to us, it belongs to God, really, ultimately.
Yeah, and I don't think he will be offended when you go back and say, you know what, I gave my heart, I left my heart behind.
Why did you do that?
Why did you do that? Yeah. And also, the scripture you said about laying down your life. Yes. No greater love than a brother to lay down his life for somebody else. And I heard this story of a donation of a heart where it had been given to somebody else, and I think it was a young child, and the parents asked if they could meet the recipient, and they asked if they could put their hand on his heart to hear their loved one's heart beating. So it's actually for people who are scared of dying, is a way of actually continuing life when you're no longer here. So we're going to go to another video.
Hi, my name is June Eliamore, and I donated to my husband Ade last year in 2019. Ade's kidneys failed in 2016 due to complications associated with his sickle cell disorder. It wasn't an easy decision to make. It was hard to see my husband going through dialysis and attending 3 times a week. There wasn't much time in the evenings for us, and I just wanted to improve his quality of life. The operation went well. Was really happy. He has a new lease of life. But I would say at the time I felt quite isolated, because I think sometimes in the Black community it's not as easy to talk about illness, and it's more about talking about the testimonies when you've been through or passed through the situation. But I'm happy that he's had the operation, and we're now living or trying to live our best lives. Throughout the process, the doctors and clinicians were very informative. They definitely said that it's a decision that I needed to make and I shouldn't be forced to make. I was nervous because I'd never had an operation before. I haven't got any kids right now, hopefully in the future, but I was scared about the operation and obviously my remaining kidney and how that would affect my health in the future. Family, friends were a bit anxious too, and they wanted us to wait for a kidney, but seeing Ade cramping, vomiting, it was hard to see, and that's why I joined the UK Living Kidney Sharing Donor Scheme, whereby almost you're paired with someone that also needs a kidney. So I gave my kidney to someone who I don't know, and Ade received his kidney from someone who he doesn't know. But yes, 2 people have walked away with a new kidney, which is great.
That's an amazing story.
Anytime I've watched them, no matter how many times you watch them, you are just kind of moved at the gift of life that somebody has given somebody. It's just an amazing, just to see the difference of somebody who's been on dialysis. And sadly, because we don't have a lot of Black organ donors, we spend far, far, far too long on dialysis. We can spend at least 3 to 4 years on dialysis, whilst our white counterparts are probably spending 18 months maximum. Because we've got so many more white people who are on the organ donor register. So that's another thing. And the longer you spend on dialysis, the more it affects your health and your mental health. And it has an effect on the whole family as well, not just the patient. So that's one of the reasons why, for me, it's critical for me to get this message out and to help people within our community, really.
Yeah, because I like what June said, that she couldn't bear watching her husband in that state, because it sounds like the family was saying, just hang on, somebody else will come forward. Yeah. This idea that somebody else will come forward. I always tell people that if you want a change, you be the change. They were like, somebody else is coming to save us. And she mentioned something about us not, when I say I'm speaking generically, not wanting to talk about illness in our community, and how illness seems to have quite a lot of taboo and shame attached to it.
I totally agree, because it is about, and again, we Nigerians or Africans it is about the testimony. And I'm sure when Africans, when we get that kidney, we'll be in the church, we'll be thanking God. But when that person is on dialysis 3 times a week for 4 hours, nobody sees that. And that is the challenge. When a person can't get out of bed and they're so tired, or they actually cannot work because they have either sickle cell or they've got kidney failure, that is when you really know where the church is. Do you understand? That's why let's prevent. But I would say prevention is better than cure. So I'm not asking the church to advocate all of these things, but I do think they should give us, for example, who either are who've gone through sickle cell, or us who've got experience of kidney failure, give us that platform to at least educate the congregation, and they can make an informed decision themselves as to whether, actually, do you know what, I think I want to start donating blood. Well, actually, do you know what, I think I can be a stem cell donor. So they can make that informed choice. But unless they have that information, they're not able to make that choice. So that's what we're saying to the church. Just give us that platform to educate the congregation about these health issues that are very common within the Black community.
Okay, so in what you're saying is that let us tell people, give them knowledge, and that will get them thinking, and that will get them to reflect. Actually, I'm sure a lot of us know people who are unwell and think, okay, I can do this. Yeah, we're going to close now. I think you will be back, because there's still so much that we didn't get a chance to share. So if there's anything you want to leave us with, I know we talked about the church giving us a platform. It could be about yourself. We're going to close with, there's a video that shows several people who have donated. But is there something that you would like to leave us with?
I think if I'm going to leave this with, if you've got somebody, in your family, or somebody that has got, you might be listening to me and think, actually, I know somebody that's got kidney failure, or you've got a loved one that's got kidney failure. Get that information. You can live with one kidney. You can give them the gift of life. The Bible says in John 10:10, He's come that we will have life to the full, and we should live it. You can't do that if you've got kidney failure. So for me, is educate yourself, get yourself informed. There's so much information that's out there, and do give your loved one the gift of life. And secondly, sign up to the organ donor register, and help somebody in our community.
Okay, we're going to play not the last video, but this one just to close. Thank you, Dela. Thank you for your time.
And
I know you'll be back. It's not that we touch on, but I think I just wanted to focus on what it was to be a living donor and how we could think about becoming one. Now,
my name's Holly. I'm a live kidney donor, and I donated to my brother 9 years ago. My name's Sarah. I donated to my mum 16 years ago.
My name is Ali. I donated to my son 4 months ago.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I donated to my son recently.
Hello, everybody. I donated to my mom 9 years ago.
Hello, my name is Lloyd. I donated to my brother 8 years ago.
I'm Bertram. I donated to my wife 2 years ago.
Hi everyone, I'm Philip. I donated to my wife 25th of June last year.
Hi, my name's Vanessa. I donated to my son 2 years ago.
I'm Sarah. I donated to my son last year.
Hi, I'm Vicky and I donated to my husband 4 years ago.
Hi, I'm Ava. I donated to my brother 4 years ago. Can you do it?
Yes, the video says, can you do it? We were talking today about organ donation, especially kidney donation, how to become a living donation, why we need to join. And I'm going to put a plea out, actually, not just for kidney, but any donation where we feel we could be our brother's helper, we could be our brother's keeper, we could be laying down our life for our brother. Till we meet again next week, my name is Lydia Khalil, and thank you for watching Conversations with Lydia.
LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
Standing in the middle of a grass field in the British countryside is the perfect setting to introduce this new and exciting brand launched by the Giving Stream Limited called Your Farmer. Direct from British farms, Your Farmer have a variety of products available. Whether it's a butchery product, diced meats, mince meats, sausages or burgers, or if you're looking for oven-ready products that's been slow cooked by a team of qualified chefs, a variety of potato dishes or vegetable dishes in both a single portion or a family range, Your Farmer has everything you're looking for. British agriculture is so important, and that's why every ingredient Your Farmer use is sourced from British producers grown on farms just like this in the UK. 7 days a week, 365 days a year, our farmers work hard to produce an excellent tasting product. Using high welfare farming methods, a free range grass-fed beef and lamb as an example produces a high quality product. Your Farmer are proud of where they source the ingredients from, so much so that they've bespoke built a footprint system so you, the consumer, can trace every ingredient within the meal right back to the British producer. One simple scan using the Your Farmer app or by simply opening the camera on your phone, scan the packaging, and this allows you to trace every ingredient within the meals or within the butchery products straight back to the British producer so you know where your food has come from. The Your Farmer brand has a conscience, As well as supporting British agriculture, the brand has pledged its support to help support people that are living in food crisis here in the UK. Every time a butchery product is sold, a packet of sausages as an example, or every time a farm finest meal is sold, a free meal is then donated to help feed somebody in food crisis. Now, the brand benchmarks its prices against major retailers, so you, the consumer, are not paying for this. This is all done through the profits of the brand. But without your custom, we are unable to offer this support. So if you're an individual consumer looking to do a family shop, or you're a buyer of a commercial or government department, buy your farmer. As well as putting great tasting products on the table, you're supporting British agriculture, which is so important, and you're also helping to feed families in food crisis, which is equally important. So go to the store, check it out, download the app for free.